Hello everybody, welcome back for another video. Hope you're all doing well and that you are all having a wonderful day. To start things off, Tron is in the news. Justin Sun is determined to put all his effort into promoting Tron, not only to increase its market cap, but also to demonstrate that every day there are more use cases for the blockchain. Yesterday, Justin Sun commented that he thinks or promises he promised that Tron would again reach the top 10 of coins on CoinMarketCap before the end of June. Here's the actual tweet right here. It says, hashtag Tron will be back to the top 10 in June. Hashtag BitTorrent will be top 30 in Q2. Let's wait and see. Hashtag BTT, BTT, TRX, hashtag Tron. Sun's word inspire optimism in the Tron community, especially considering that since February, the token has lost positions as compared to other altcoins. Here's a little chart that we have right here. And then he also shows, I think there was also something that we had a couple of weeks ago. It wasn't major news. Tron is not the only coin that this has been happening to. There are many other blockchains that are now being chosen to hold stable coins and stuff like that. And we had information that USDT or Tether was also going to be building on top of Tron as well. Because I mean, first of all, Ethereum is a little slow at the moment. So a lot of other stable coins have been launching on 2 or 3 other blockchains at the exact same time. I guess to increase speed, increase, not profit isn't the word, I guess maybe security, just in case something should happen to one of the actual blockchains. Similarly, Sun commented that he expects BTT, the BitTorrent token, to occupy a place in the list of the 30 most capitalized cryptocurrencies in the market. BitTorrent token currently ranks 50th in global market cap. The cryptocurrency was at the time the first token offered by the Binance Launchpad platform, and its initial offer sold out in minutes. All right, let's see if it can happen. I like predictions like this a lot more because it kind of shows, how do I say this? Justin Sun before in the past has said many things about where he thinks the Tron token is going to go and exactly how big it is going to be. I remember him mentioning many times before that it was not only going to pass by Cardano, but that it was going to pass by EOS and it was going to pass by Ethereum. Pretty sure he said 2019. So he's now saying it'll be back in the top 10 by the end of June. Let's see exactly what ends up happening. Just, I don't know, my own personal opinion. I feel like he hypes up the coin far too much as opposed to talking about the things that the project is actually going to do. Usually when he's in the news, it's because he's talking about how great and awesome it is, but never any, I don't know. Anyway, let's see if this ends up happening. Let's see if the BitTorrent token actually ends up going to the top 30 place as well. I have my own feelings and reservations, but I mean, June is about a good 5 weeks away. So rather the end of June. 5 weeks away. We'll wait and see. Next up, Ethereum scaling solution developer Prismatic Labs has just launched its Ethereum 2.0 testnet. They said, over the past months, we've been preparing extensively, working every single day to deliver a public testnet for Ethereum 2.0 proof of stake beacon chain to the community. We have it. It's live and you can stake. This is non-trivial, critical step to take this technology to the next level. And we need you to be a part of it. Our next step is to launch version 0.6 of the official Ethereum 2.0 specification into our testnet. This is a massive improvement as the research team aims to freeze the spec by June and have something that will represent a more polished version for mainnet release. Our short-term goal is to continue improving our testnet while picking up the pace on V0.6 faster in parallel within our team. We had information, it had to be no more than 2 or 3 days ago, that the Ethereum team, apparently they said by the end of June, they think that they will be completely done with the code for the proof of stake algorithm that is going to go on top of Ethereum. I saw a couple of people guessing or trying to figure out exactly when this could happen. As far as if they're done with the code in June, people are thinking that maybe sometime in autumn is when they'll try and officially roll it out. This also coincides kind of with the dates that we heard from Vitalik Buterin, who said that by the end of this year that we would definitely have proof of stake on the Ethereum network. So I guess it does kind of all line up. I mean, it is very nice to be getting a lot more frequent updates from the Ethereum team as far as exactly how far they are, where this is going. The fact that they have the testnet up as well and that you are able to stake as well on this testnet, it's kind of cool. Hope that this continues. Here's the actual post right here on Medium. I have very high hopes, and I'm trying not to get my hopes up because we've seen this happen before. This happened in 2018, where we were supposed to have had many upgrades in June, and then August, and then in November, and we didn't get any of them. And I think we got Constantinople in January, if I'm not mistaken. Anyway, fingers crossed that we actually do get this in time, because I think it would be, I mean, Ethereum is also tied to many other cryptocurrencies as like a base pair. So if Ethereum does really well, the same as Bitcoin, other coins also tend to pull themselves up as well. So that would be nice for the entirety of the cryptocurrency market. Next up, Adamant researcher partner and crypto researcher Tor Demeester is expanding on his company's recent report that says Bitcoin traders are now in heavy accumulation mode. He predicts a new Bitcoin bull run will push the coin's market cap into the trillions of dollars. According to the report, an analysis of blockchain data shows Bitcoin whales are accumulating BTC. The leading crypto asset price history parallels the 2014-2015 bear market, which preceded Bitcoin's eventual rise to $20,000. In an interview with the podcast What Bitcoin Did, Demeester talks about the report and why he believes Bitcoin is significantly undervalued. He said, "With Bitcoin, I think a big misconception is that the purpose of Bitcoin is payments. And so the way we measure success is by looking at what volume and payments is being done. And even though I don't think that's a totally worthless way to look at it, I think you miss a lot of it if you don't look at Bitcoin as digital gold, which is quite different." Without reading any further as to what he said, I listened to this podcast 2 days ago. It was incredibly interesting to hear another aspect of it, because we kind of get wrapped up in the idea that these are only going to be used as a method of payment. I can send you money, you can send me money, we can send money to our friends. But the idea is that as time continues to go on and more money actually ends up going into Bitcoin, we see this in graphs and charts every single day. Like it's kind of wonderful to actually see that there's constantly more money coming into the cryptocurrency space, or more addresses being opened, or more interest in the market, even as the prices are or were tumbling down. And it's just the idea that eventually, rather, there's so many people around the world who are going to be buying Bitcoin, so many rich people who are accumulating in mass, that as the price eventually goes up, things will simply be denominated in Bitcoin. I'm not telling you exactly everything that he said, but it's more like this idea of, a lot of people think that it's kind of an all or nothing for Bitcoin, and it's probably not going to be that way. It's more so that Bitcoin will become such a stable asset that things will simply start to be denominated in Bitcoin. It's not that we're going to be using Bitcoin for everyday usage. It's more like this will be another thing that'll be stronger than the US dollar. That's not to say that there still won't be a US dollar, but it'll then potentially be priced off of the actual price of Bitcoin. Like you normally, like when you do the metrics for other worldwide currencies, you do them in parallel with the US dollar or the euro. It'll be that Bitcoin has gotten so heavy as a store of value, people can pay for things in it, obviously, but things will also be denominated in actual Bitcoin as well. And this is where it becomes a really interesting economic thing, because a lot of people think that Bitcoin is going to be the only it, and there are a lot of people, even if they are Bitcoin maximalists, they don't specifically think that Bitcoin is going to be the only world currency, that there may or obviously are going to be others. Is simply that Bitcoin's value will become hyper stable in the millions and millions and millions and millions and millions of dollars, that things will have to be denominated in it because of the actual rate of inflation that we know that's mathematically set. Like normally, federal governments and all these other, central banks, they kind of choose when inflation happens, how low it goes, how high it goes, how high interest rates are. But with Bitcoin, it's completely, you don't have to predict it because you can see it directly in the code. It's kind of interesting. Here's the actual thing right here. For those who are wondering, people usually ask, what podcasts am I listening to? This is not one that I normally listen to on a very often basis, simply because the person who does the actual podcast, he's like a proper Bitcoin bull. And some of the stuff that he says is a little off-putting, at least to me, in my own personal opinion. He's very adamant that Bitcoin is the only thing that matters, is the only thing that's supposed to matter, and no other coins have mattered. You'll hear it in the discussion as they're kind of talking about it. It's just, I don't foresee a future where Bitcoin can even hold 95% of the cryptocurrency market in 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years. but I still believe that we are going to have other functions of other cryptocurrencies that are also going to be used. Anyway, like I said, I don't listen to this often because it's a bit one side leaning. However, if you are looking for a podcast to listen to, this one is from What Bitcoin Did. And I'm pretty sure it was like the last one that just came out. It's by, the guy's name is Tor Demeester. You can definitely find it. Next up, a new episode of the Light podcast has been released. The podcast features an interview with a lot of podcast stuff today. The podcast features an interview with BTC Pay's Britt Kelly. It looks at the challenges that come with creating open source crypto projects and merchant solutions for retailers. I'm not even going to lie to you. I didn't even know this was a podcast until early, like when I found this actual information. I was wondering if there was a Litecoin podcast. Apparently it is called The Light. That is Lite podcast. I don't think that's a great name. I feel like if it was just called the Litecoin podcast or something, because I tried looking for the Light podcast and it took me a while. It was giving me like when I typed in LITE to try and like find it quickly, because if you type into BITCO on any like podcast, it'll find all the Bitcoin stuff automatically. But when you type in LITE, it was giving me like stuff for literature and all these other kind of things. Anyway, the point is there is a Litecoin podcast. I actually plan on trying to listen to as much of this as I possibly can. I hope it's actually good. This is just another, I mean, there are a lot of Litecoin fans out there, so maybe this will definitely interest you. Yeah, I hope it's actually good. I don't like that name. I feel like they could have done a lot better. I mean, it's not too late to change it. So anyway, let's move on. Next up, Cardano's in the news. The Input-Output Hong Kong team, the company behind Cardano, says an updated roadmap is coming. In a new blog post, the team says it will be released in a month or less. They said, we are working on a redesign of the Cardano roadmap website that will do a better job describing our upcoming release phases with themes and detailed functional components for each. You can expect to see it live in 2 to 4 weeks. All right, that's not too far away, with more content added over time. Aligned with the keynote speech from CEO Charles Hoskinson at the recent IOHK summit, the new roadmap site will provide a clear definition of delivery phases, how they fit together, and what we'll deliver when, end quote. This hasn't, I mean, in 2017, the entire roadmap thing was very, very big. A lot of people paid attention to roadmaps. In 2018, a lot of the roadmap stuff that we saw kind of floating around. How do I say this? Roadmaps are pretty much a roadmap. It tells you exactly what's going on, when this is going to launch, what's expected for this. And for those of you who remember, a lot of the roadmaps that we had in 2018 didn't come true. They didn't come to fruition. A lot of the upgrades didn't happen across multiple platforms. It's not even just like it's Cardano. There were multiple things on multiple platforms, multiple things that had been, I don't want to use the word promised, but that we were told that we were going to get, and we did not end up getting them. So hopefully this is more clear as to exactly what's going to happen. Roadmaps usually make people very excited. I understand the idea of a roadmap. I get it. Sometimes prices go up by like 15% when there is a new roadmap. Wonderful, what have you. Doesn't mean that what they say is going to come to fruition. That's not me punching Cardano in the face. It's more like we've seen this across 12, 13, 14 different coins who also had roadmaps and never really ended up coming true. Hopefully that Cardano roadmap shows Shelly on it, because people have been waiting for Shelly for a very long time, and a lot of people were waiting for the at the IOHK summit that happened about a month and some change ago. People thought, I don't know if you remember, the price of Cardano was definitely ticking upwards because a lot of people thought that there was going to be proper information about the proof of stake, so-and-so, blah, 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 blah. That's going to be coming to Cardano. Hopefully we get information about it. 2 to 4 weeks is not very far away, so it's something important? No, it's something very exciting to look forward to. Here's the actual thing right here. For those who are wondering, it says up the top, iohk.io/blog, and I'm pretty sure you'll be able to find it. Next up, Mr. Warren Buffett is in the news once again. He's been in the news very, very often, him and a bunch of other people. And I'll tell you what's kind of, wow, that's a great picture. I'll tell you what's interesting about all of this as I go through it. Bitcoin just got another bashing from the Sage of Omaha. Warren Buffett told reporters at the Berkshire Hathaway annual meeting in Omaha, Nebraska, that he still couldn't support Bitcoin. He said it's a gambling device. There's been a lot of fraud connected with it. There's been disappearances, so there's a lot lost on it. Bitcoin hasn't produced anything, end quote. And for those of you, and I know there's at least one person who shook their finger and they were like, yeah, that's right, Bitcoin's trash. I'm pretty sure he's only talking about Bitcoin because he probably has no idea what the other coins are. I have a feeling he's encompassing all cryptocurrencies at once, so don't think that your coins are safe. He said it doesn't do anything. It just sits there. It's like a seashell or something, and that is not an investment to me. Buffett also pointed to a button on his jacket and said that he could call it a token and charge $1,000 for it. He wrote to CNBC. He said, what I'll have here is a little token. I'll offer it to you for $1,000 and see if you can get the price up to $2,000 by the end of the day. But the button has one use, and it's very limited. Buffett has also stated that Bitcoin is a delusion, but that blockchain is ingenious. Last year, he called it a rat poison squared and said that it was a non-productive asset. I'll try and remember the second part, but I can definitely remember the first part. A lot of people think that first of all, this is not the first time that Warren Buffett has done something like this. A lot of people think that this is, take it how you will, like really absorb the information how you want to. A lot of people are thinking that this is all kind of coordinated, simply because the news from Warren Buffett, there was some other banker, institution, blah, 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 rich guy who came forward and said something negative about Bitcoin, and then the actual hack on Binance, and then something else that also happened. They're all kind of too close together, especially as Bitcoin was nearing $6,000. Like I said, keep that on one side of your mind, depending on how you want to look at the entire situation. The other part is that it's very weird how people treat Bitcoin, how people treat cryptocurrencies. If you've ever watched documentaries or watched, you can definitely find them as well on YouTube. You can find type in the internet 1992 or the internet news story 1990s. You'll definitely be able to find it. There were so many newscasters, and I guess I was too young at this point. There were so many newscasters in the 90s who didn't understand what email was. They were confused by email. They said that email was completely pointless. What's the point of trying to send something digitally? Nobody wants to type on a keyboard to send a letter. I can just mail it. You can see them laughing with tears in their eyes because they thought it was so funny. So many people couldn't grasp the idea of why someone would want to send an email, why someone would want to chat with other people on a forum or on the internet in general. We have phones, we have so-and-so. It's I can just pick up my landline and call my mother. Why would I want to talk to her digitally? It's a very weird thing. It has to do not exclusively with generationalism. You know what I'm saying? I can't think of the word right now, but there's definitely a huge divide between people who kind of get it and people who don't. When we first all got into Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies, we saw money signs in our eyes, but at least if you've been here for over a year, you should maybe more than understand why Bitcoin is going to become a reserve currency or a world currency, or why Bitcoin is going to continue to rise in value. It comes down to the fact that so many people like Warren Buffett don't understand exactly what it is. The fact that you can call it a seashell or compare it to the button on your lapel, whatever you kind of want to call it, is very interesting because we understand it as being able to transfer money around the world rapidly. We understand that eventually, if more people get into it, the price will rise. And as the price rises, it also helps other people in other countries transact in a way that they've never been able to transact before. There are billions of people, that's with a B, on this planet who have no access to any type of banking, no type of funds, no type of anything. And this is why I think news stories about Bitcoin and Dash being able to be transmitted through text message is incredibly important, or people creating ways to be able to transmit a Bitcoin back and forth through radio signal, or the Lightning Network satellites that we have now above our heads that are also helping to transmit. It's these very interesting things because it allows the world that was incredibly fragmented. People had no way to... Can you imagine? You're listening to me now on your device. You maybe have money in your pocket or in your bank account. Imagine not having money. Imagine not being able to access anything. Imagine not being able to go into a store and swipe your card or tap your card or pay in PayPal, to have no access to any financial system. But then you find something that's called cryptocurrencies. They allow you and your families to buy an old beat up phone, and now you have access to this financial world that you never kind of had before. It makes me very sad in a sort of way. When I first got into investing, Warren Buffett was supposed to be it. Warren Buffett was the guy that everyone was looking up to. I was also told to look up to him, and I had my reservations because I heard some of the things that he was saying, especially he's mentioned before that he's never really invested in anything techie because he doesn't understand it. So he invests in like food and all this other stuff and like Coca-Cola and I think Pepsi, and he's very big on he was like, if I can touch it or taste it, then I'll invest in it, and he understands it. Very good for him. What's really weird, okay, I almost cursed. Anyway, the point is, I guess I'll just say it. I was watching something and they were talking about how, if you haven't realized, Warren Buffett is getting up there in age. It's him and this other guy. I can't remember the guy's name. You've definitely seen him before. And it's talking about how they're both rising in the years, as humans do. And how there's like a discussion now going on as to who going to be the successors of Berkshire Hathaway when Buffett does eventually, So it's really weird to me that these people who follow Warren Buffett and who have taken his word for gospel have not, like, imagine this. I mean, maybe it's just me. I find it very fascinating because these same people who listen to what he says now, who are very skeptical of Bitcoin, will continue to remain skeptical of Bitcoin. When Bitcoin hits $100,000, this skepticism will remain, and they won't understand and won't have done any research or won't even have taken the time to try to begin to understand why Bitcoin is important. I get that the prices are important, but usually why I become so bullish on Bitcoin is the actual worldwide adoption. Like, for those who are wondering, when I talk about actually being bullish on Bitcoin, I love the prices. I love the price going up. I would love to have a Bitcoin hit $1 million one day, but it's more like I know that it's going to succeed because of the people around the world who are using it, the adoption that we're having. The people around the world who had no access to any financial structure now will have it. And as time continues to go on, it's expected that by the year, I think 2025, an additional, I think 1 or 1.5 billion people on the planet will have some sort of access to the internet. That is through a smartphone, which are now becoming less expensive, especially in the next 5 years. They'll be able to have the smartphones that we have and still have access to the internet, computers, whatever the case might be, internet cafes. They'll have some sort of a way to do it and to be able to deal in this world of money that they never had a chance to do. And it's really interesting to see that you can become a billionaire and still have a wall up in front of you and not really understand how the world is becoming further digitized, how things are actually changing in front of you. I mean, the whole pointing at a button on your jacket and saying that you're going to charge $1,000 for it. Like, we know that Bitcoin eventually was worth nothing. Like, Bitcoin was worth less than a cent, and it's gained in value because of the network effect and the amount of people around the world who are actually using it, who are actually utilizing it, who are actually gobbling it up, because they know that eventually in the future, even as of right now, even during the last couple of weeks or months, that we've had so much news about so many different places who are accepting cryptocurrencies, and it's like, this is only going to continue more as more people learn what Bitcoin is, regardless of how high the Bitcoin fees are right now. Eventually, we're going to have a point where people are transacting just on Lightning, or where, fees are a lot lower, SegWit, blah, 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 et cetera, et cetera. Like, it's going to completely change the world, and this is why I also thought it was interesting when we get news about, like, other financial institutions who are, or even like Visa and MasterCard, even just them working with Facebook. Like, it's clear because the people realize if you can send stuff for a lot cheaper or with low fees, you're obviously going to start using this as, I don't know. I find it quite interesting. Like I said, it's almost like the end of an era kind of thing. We see so much backlash and pushback against cryptocurrencies. I think it scares a lot of people because people are used to, and I mean this in the nicest way possible, I think people are used to listening to older people because we think that they're more wise, that they're more so and so and so when it comes to finance. They definitely know what's going on. They have to know what's going on. And then you realize sometimes that they don't. Like, you can buy up Coca-Cola stock as much as you want and the price may go up. Like, you can become a billionaire from it, but you still won't understand or choose not to understand what blockchain is, exactly what its use is going to be for, and exactly how this is already changing the world. Find it kind of weird. I'm expecting more news. I would love to put Jamie Dimon, Warren Buffett, and Nouriel Roubini in a room and, like, throw the word Bitcoin into the room and see exactly how long they kind of discuss it. I assume they would completely lose their minds for hours. Anyway, enough with Warren Buffett. It's just kind of weird and kind of sad, but I was joking with a friend before, and I was like, it's kind of the same exact thing. We understand Bitcoin. We understand cryptocurrencies. We understand mining to some extent. We also understand, what a blockchain is and how it functions. But I assume in the next 50, 60 years, when we are grandparents and we have kids and they have kids and our kids' are doing something that we just simply don't get, we're also going to be complaining because we don't understand why our grandchild is getting married to AI or something ridiculous like that. It's just kind of how the world works. To kind of finish things off, we had news about this yesterday. So it's really interesting how time solves itself, flies, stuff happens after time. During a recent Ask Me Anything, Changpeng Cao, who was the head of Binance, spoke about the recent hack that targeted Binance, while also answering a few questions from the community. He also confirmed margin trading on Binance, an important update that many people in the community have been requesting for a very long time. Here's a little tweet that we have right here of him saying that he's going to have an Ask Me Anything. Somebody was asking him a question. He said, I think most people have already seen the margin flagged added in our API. So yeah. So as we are working on marketing systems that look like rolling out actually very, very soon. And here's a little photo and the other thing. So we had news yesterday that people had looked through the actual code on the Binance website, saw that there appeared to be something for margin trading between, I think it was Bitcoin and Ethereum, Litecoin, and Bitcoin, and I think Bitcoin and XRP. I think those were the only 4 coins that were like up for margin trading. And then we had that news yesterday, and lo and behold, he realized that people had kind of saw it in their code, and apparently it's actually going to happen. That's as far as that news story goes. It's just interesting that we had news about this yesterday, and he's like, yep, it's going to happen. And he says it's going to happen very, very soon. I am going to assume either the end of this month or the first week of June. It just seems like the right time. I think that is definitely going to do it for this video. I am very grateful that there are people in the cryptocurrency community who have a brain, who think for themselves. It's been about a good 18, 19 hours since the Binance hack news has been in the news. Bitcoin has actually gone up a little tiny bit. It's very nice. It's like there should be no bearing of, like, no price movement should be happening negatively because something happened to Binance. Stuff happens all the time. You know how many banks around the world and how many institutions are hacked and DDoSed every single day? Should not affect the way that you view Bitcoin. Nothing has changed with Bitcoin. Bitcoin is not weaker because a centralized exchange got hacked. That's not how things work in the cryptocurrency space. I hope you all enjoyed. Hope you all are having a great day, a great morning, a great afternoon, a great evening, wherever you are, wherever you might be. I hope it's absolutely fantastic. Thank you all once again for watching and or listening. I think today's Wednesday. Is it Wednesday? I'm not going to even check my phone. Hope you enjoy whatever day of the week that it is. I'm pretty sure it's Wednesday. Anyway, as always, a very special thank you to my Patreon supporters. They are Anthony Charles, Nick Mangelavorti, Arthur Yaku, Minting Coins, Jim Gardner, Jeremy Fox, Paxis, Vlad the Impaler, Cody, RF Dusty, Richie Rich III, Nick Kanaya, Setsuna, Nicholas, One Earth, One Peace, One Love, Crypto Artist, Cole D3D, Clara T, Snowden, Cryptonotic, Jeffrey Ramsey, Amy Starsheen, Yasha Harari, Rai, singer-songwriter Mike Savitz, Carl Birchenoff, Crypto Joe, Galaboa Snake, Shaolin Fried Rice, Wise Night Owl, Jared Schneider, L. Doug, Brady Niels, Crypto and Beer Shipmate, S.C. Verzely, Fine Art, and Professor Wally from Gun Bot University. I used to be really good at doing all of that in one breath. Can't do it anymore. Thank you all once again for watching and listening. Hope you have an amazing day, and I will definitely talk to you all soon. Oh, someone got upset because when I say see you, I had a very long S. So I'm going to try and do a doubly long S. See you.